Hey, thanks again for pressing play and welcome once again to the Suns Jam Session podcast. This is our second one this week. As we noted about a week and a half ago, that starting in November, we were going to go live twice a week once again with our podcast as we did when the season was going on. So this is podcast number 2 of the week. So super excited to be doing this again. Joined as always by Matthew. Matthew, how are you doing, man? It's good to see you twice in a week.
What's up, John and Jamsters? How are you guys doing out there, huh? How's it going?
I hope they're doing okay. I hope they're doing okay. You know,
they're doing fine. We still don't have a president, but I think we're hanging in there, right?
Yeah, people are counting ballots. People are saying count the votes. No, don't count the votes. Wait, hold on. Only count the votes if they count for me. Like
exactly,
it's just clusterfuck city, and it was kind of.
What would you expect, though? I mean, it couldn't be simple, right?
No, of course not. Nothing in 2020 is going to be simple.
Nothing.
So, I mean, election night, I actually was sitting there watching the news, and I was bouncing back and forth between like 3 different news stations because I don't want to sit and get locked in on one news station. And then right around about 9:00, they were like, you know what? We won't even know what the fuck's going on in Pennsylvania until so like 3 days from now. I'm like, well, what the fuck am I watching all this shit for?
Exactly. I know. I heard the same exact thing. I was actually watching the Joe Rogan podcast. He has some guy on there, some expert. He's like, oh yeah, we probably won't know till Friday. I'm like, okay, well then this was a waste of time because I thought it would be over that night, but no.
No. So we're still without a president. Oh well. We'll find out Friday, Saturday, January, eventually. It's crazy though, because it's like how many people are out there just like ready to riot? Like they don't know. They were all ready to go on Tuesday night. And
I know.
They got their proper PPE because they're gonna riot, but like they don't want to spread the virus. Well, they're all rearing ready to go, and they're like, hold on, we don't know are we rioting tonight or not, boys? And it's like every night they're texting back and forth. I'm not on any of those text chains.
Can you get that momentum though? Again, I feel like when I went out, if I were to riot, which I haven't done yet, but it seems like fun. If I were to go riot and I showed up and it just didn't happen, would I have the momentum to actually go back again another night?
You're like,
continue the fight. I don't know if I would have it in me, man. I would already forget. Honestly, I kind of forgot that the election was going on today until like an hour ago. I'm like, oh yeah, we still don't even know who the president's going to be. So
yeah, well, when you stay off social media and you don't watch the news and you're just kind of out living your life, you forget about it. And then I came home and like I turn on the TV and it's like, it has narrowed to 1,900 votes in Georgia. I'm like, oh yeah, that shit's going on. AKA Matthew, you could be known as the one man riot if you show up by yourself. Yeah, just out there, one man riot.
I'll just get ran over. Someone's going to run me over, right?
Like, get this idiot out of the road. So, do you think that all the businesses are still like boarded up? They're like, damn, dude, this is taking like 5 days. I thought I'd only had to.
I know, right? Yeah, I would assume so. I wouldn't take that stuff down, right? Because you never know when it's going to happen. You never know when the results are going to come out. So you
if it comes out at like 2:00 in the afternoon on like a Friday, like, oh shit, somebody's coming.
Yeah, as soon as I see a brick coming through this window right here, then we'll know someone was elected president. So we can stop the pod and see what's going on, or a Mazel Tov, right through my window.
A Mazel Tov, Molotov. Jeez, get your writing weapons down, right? Anyways, we clearly digress. Welcome to those of you who are watching on the live stream, whether it be on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. If you're listening to the podcast on the Bright Side of the Sun Podcast Network, thank you also for doing that. Whatever you're doing, wherever you're at, however you're consuming the content, make sure you subscribe. You can hit us up on Twitter at SunsJam. You can hit Matthew up on Twitter at Matthew Lissy. You can hit me on Twitter
at John Lissy.
No, at Darth Voida.
Dang it.
Hey, you can, after all these years, you're thinking you get my Twitter handle right. We actually have plenty to talk about today. It's one of those things where we do these podcasts twice a week. And, when we were doing them once a week, we easily had an hour of content. But as you kind of do them twice a week, you're going to have less and less content. And that's kind of the expectation moving forward. If we go anything over 30 minutes, 45 minutes, fantastic. There's plenty to talk about. But there is plenty to talk about because, somebody says anything about Devin Booker and instantly everybody loses their minds. So, secrets are no fun. And that's what we're going to be discussing on this episode of the Suns Jam Session podcast. I think it's time to crack open a beer, though. Matthew, did you finally bring a beer? Did you finally bring a beer? You did? What do you got? Is it the banquet beer?
Oh,
what the fuck?
Oh,
this guy, he got me. You would be a horrible writer.
I was sitting on the couch. I was like, I totally forgot. And then I just didn't go get one. So sorry, all right?
Jeez. Well, I've got the Dos Equis. Let's pop it open. Ooh, drop the beat and talk Suns, baby. So secrets are no fun. And apparently, Devin Booker and his status in Phoenix is the worst kept secret in the NBA. I mean, that's what I learned this week. I woke up yesterday. Everybody's going crazy. Now, you listen to the Bill Simmons podcast as religiously as I do, right?
Yes, of course.
And I hadn't gotten that far in the podcast. It happened around 63 minutes of the podcast. I listened to it on my drive into work, and then I'll listen to it kind of throughout the day. And all of a sudden, I hop on Twitter because that's what I do when I get to work. Is I get in, I log in. I'm a food and beverage director, so I walk around and make sure the coffee's warm and the pastries are hot and ready to go for our guests. And then I log on to Twitter, and all of a sudden, everyone's like, "Whoa, Booker's not happy." And you always know it's a story when casual fans, and I'm talking like super casual Suns fans, are like, "Hey, man, it appears Devin Booker wants out." And I'm like, "Oh, God, this whole fucking thing again.
Man.
Where were you when you heard this news? And what was your initial?" Well, hold on. How about we just play the clip? For those of you who have not heard the clip, the Bill Simmons podcast, Ryen Russillo's on once a week, and they talk basketball. And he brought up the fact that Devin Booker is the worst kept secret in the NBA and wants to get out of Phoenix. Let's play that clip real quick for you.
I don't think one contender is like, we got to make a move. I think everybody's going to be pretty careful. Don't you think?
Oh, totally. Now that's why I think
Phoenix is maybe there's a little desperation to
desperation
be
to
good.
add to it, but they got to worry about the Booker thing because the worst kept secret in the league is Booker already wants out of there. And if it's another bad season, I actually think that could get ugly. But this is why Oklahoma City is actually aligned pretty well here. I mean, think about this.
Okay, so what are your thoughts, Matthew? 100% not true?
Yeah, I don't think it's true, but it's very obvious, right? Because what happened is he said if another losing season happens, basically, then yeah, it's a problem, which everyone knows that. If any player in the league is making a lot of money, you're not winning, they're going to want out. That's just the way it is. I think we know as Phoenix Suns fans that if Booker were to be unhappy, it was because another losing season were to happen this next season. So I'm not too worried, but where I was when I heard it, I was actually at work. I was listening to the podcast, but it didn't get to that part yet. And on the Slack channel for Brightside, Brandon Clean he said he actually mentioned it in the Slack channel. So I was like, what? I haven't gotten that far yet. And seriously, like 5 minutes later, I heard it. And my stomach did get a little tight, dude. I got some butterflies. I was very, very nervous. Almost went home sick. But then I was like, you know what? This happens all the time. I mean, what else are we going to talk about? Whenever the name Phoenix is brought up in these podcasts, it always has to do with Booker wanting out. And that's going to be the case for any player in the NBA that's not winning and making a lot of money. And now that he's an all-star, yeah, he's going to want out. Of course he is. But you have to give us one more season. And I don't blame Booker if he were to want out after the season if we were losing. But right now, after what we built in the bubble, after everybody we have on this team, an actual team around Booker, it'd be crazy for him to ask out now. So I settled down and I was okay after a while. But I mean, how did you feel right away?
That's funny. Well, I mean, I'm here to tell all Suns fans something quite simple. It's not true. It's just not true. This is what happens anytime, as Matthew mentioned, Phoenix is mentioned. Okay, if you listen to the context of the conversation, it was kind of casual. Like Bill Simmons is making the point that Phoenix is an interesting team and they have an urgency to win. And it's like Russillo said, he's like, to add. They have an urgency to add something this offseason because they want to make, Booker happy, but they want to win. We're primed and ready to win. We just haven't done so yet. Granted, like it's the best kept secret that Booker doesn't want to be in the NBA. Well, if that's the case, like you'd have a lot more insider information pertaining to that. The only time you ever hear that Booker is ready to leave Phoenix is when another organization ties him to some nonsense trade in an effort to get him. And what that is a nod to Devin Booker, to his talent, to his ability, to his skill set, that they want him to come to the team. So they're creating a false narrative. Anytime that false narrative happens, the Suns universe goes crazy because, we're very protective of Devin Booker. I got him hanging out right over my shoulder here. We love this guy. This guy's been the one bright, shining star in the past decade for our organization. So anytime anybody kind of comes near him and says he might not be happy, we freak out. Maybe he's not happy. Maybe he does want out of Phoenix. There's no nothing that has ever pointed in that direction. He's never made a comment. He's never made, a casual reference, like he's hanging, I don't want to be here, a la Eric Bledsoe. None of that has ever existed in Devin Booker. All he has ever said is that he loves the city. He appreciates the city. He appreciates his fan base. He wants to win here. He wants to be the reason we win here. So when you hear these things, and the reason this blows up is because it's Ryen Russillo, it's Bill Simmons. This is one of the biggest podcasts that there is pertaining to sports. So we hear Phoenix, we hear Booker wants to leave, we freak out. And I just don't think that settle down, Suns fans. It's going to be okay. He doesn't want to go anywhere. There's no signs that he does want to go there. Now, to your point, Matthew, absolutely, we need to win. Okay, he is entering year 2 of a 5-year deal, and there just needs to be progress next year. And it's not necessarily that we need to go out and win and make the playoffs or win a first round of the playoffs next season, but we need to show that we're on the path to doing so. You look at what John Gambadoro tweeted out after that. He says, this is 100% not true. Book is happy in Phoenix, excited for the season, loves how they finished in the bubble, excited about free agency. Not one time has he ever told anyone he wanted out. Don't listen to this garbage.
Yeah, and you can trust him, absolutely, because that's where you go to is Gambo. You have to wait for the Gambo tweet to kind of clear things up. And if this happens with Booker, Booker's not going to come out and tweet about it. He barely tweets. He's not into social media at all. Plus, I don't know if he's still on his vacation with the Kardashians, which is like he goes on vacation, he comes back, it's like, oh, I'm already want out of Phoenix again. It's like, no, it's crazy. He's not to say he's here for the long haul, but he's here for this season for sure. And it's weird. It's a lot to ask for an NBA player to be invested in a team, especially like Booker, who is just now an all-star, who has built so much here in Phoenix. It's going to be very, very hard for him to want to leave. And what team, let's just say he did ask out, what team would he go to that would help his career further? I know he can probably go on a championship contender team, but how does that help him in any way? If he wants to be one of the greatest, if he wants to be like Kobe, for him to stay in Phoenix and just build what we're building here now, that would be the smart choice. I wouldn't blame him for leaving if we didn't make the playoffs again, but still, I just think his legacy here, dude, is for the stay. I really do.
Well, it's funny because obviously there's not a lot of NBA news going on right now. So there were articles of places where he go top 5 destinations for Devin Booker,
Yeah.
The Lakers, the Raptors, all these different scenarios. And shout out to Bowman in the chat. He says a Raptors fan here, curious about the Suns. Bowman, thanks for stopping by on YouTube. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, you press the like button and subscribe and all that fun stuff. But that's where everybody's kind of pointing. They're all of a sudden, this is the news that says, hey, this potential budding 24-year-old superstar is interested in getting out, and there's no merit to it. And that's, the thing that's frustrating and funny at the kind of same time. It's the same thing that's kind of going on with the election right now. Everybody's kind of getting up in arms like, dude, we don't know anything yet. So let's just settle down until we know what we know. And with Devin Booker, we know that he's happy here. We know that he's never said he wants to go anywhere else. And again, even if next year we don't have that success, if he makes another all-star team, if we're pushing towards the playoffs, it's going to be tough in the West. I'm sure Booker has some sense of understanding. If we're a 9 seed fighting for the 8 seed all year long, and we just don't get in, he's going to be happy. He's going to be here. He's not going to demand. He's not going to Anthony Davis us with 3 years left on his contract and try to get the hell out of here. Again, it isn't a secret because it doesn't exist. You look and Raymond Gonzalez, in the chat, it's the Kardashian curse, as you mentioned, Matthew. He comes back off the island and all of a sudden there's, random things about us. But Steve Holler I agree with what he says in the chat. The rumor was irresponsibly set off the cuff. That is a fantastic way to put it. So if you're a Suns fan and you know who Ryen Russillo is or you don't, he there was no merit to it. It wasn't something that he was doing trying to break news. The running joke on the Bill Simmons podcast when he talks with Ryen Russillo is the term aggregators. Every time they say something pertaining to any fan base, they know that the aggregators, aka all the local media, freaks out about it, and it's almost a joke to them because they're nationally syndicated. And are we being the dreaded aggregators by talking about this?
Yeah, I believe so, but it's fine because we're trying to defend our own. Basically, it's a guy like you said that we love, and it sucks because he's such a great player. So of course we're gonna love him. You know what I mean? And it's just like these players that don't perform. It's like, we can trade him away. It does suck being that way, but honestly, I was thinking too. If Booker came back and then saw all this, like he wouldn't tweet, he wouldn't say anything about it. He would just go back to work. And that's what I love. It's like he's going to keep his head down, go to work. He ignores the noise. This casual comment turns into a headline. And all we do now is believe headlines. And we read headlines and we're like, oh, that must be true. So then we got to
Yes.
talk about it, which is fine. It's fun to talk about. I get nervous when it happens, but it's fun to talk about these Booker things.
Yeah, it's any nod towards the Phoenix organization and in a positive manner is something that I get a little bit excited about. And you're talking about when you first heard it, you got those little butterflies, and you're thinking about going home. Anytime you're listening to those nationally syndicated podcasts and they start talking about the Suns, like you get excited about what they want to say. You want to know how they see the Suns, because we know how we see the Suns locally. We follow everything, to the extent, a little too much. Obviously, they're our team, they're our passion, they're what we love. But when you hear kind of a national take, a lot of times it's an uneducated take. Stephen A. Smith is like the world heavyweight champion of this shit, where he'll sit there and he'll give a point of view that somebody wrote down on a napkin to give him right before he went on air, and he doesn't know anything he's talking about, but he's still going to put it out there, and it creates all the aggregators like us to start talking about it and give our kind of opinions on it. Switching topics real quick, I actually, Bowman in the chat brings up something. Is there anything else you want to talk about on Booker?
No, I think we cleared it up. Until next month, we cleared it up.
Yeah, like Rook77 Akatuna in the chat, he ain't going anywhere. I agree with that. This is kind of something we don't talk about too much, but Bowman, who again is a Toronto Raptors fan who's checking in, he says, what are the Suns going to do with Rubio? You want to give him kind of a quick update on what you think about Ricky Rubio, what he means to the Suns, and if he's going to be sticking around, or if he is something because you're starting to see him in a lot of different trade talks. You look at like the Kelly Oubre plus Ricky Rubio equals XYZ. So what are your thoughts on Ricky Rubio, Matthew?
Yeah, of course, he's included in every trade too. It doesn't mean we don't love him. We love Papa Ricky. But honestly, I want to see it through. I want to see his contract through. And what's great is like we can go into this draft and maybe pick up one of these point guards to have behind him and to maybe take over in the future. That's how great Ricky, I think, is. And what's great too is his versatility, really, his playmaking, his shots increasing, shot percentages increasing. So I think that we have an opportunity to, even if we do get a point guard, to play along Ricky Rubio and Devin Booker. I think it's nice that we finally have a freaking point guard, someone we don't have to worry about wanting to leave. Oh, there goes another motorcycle. And it's not gone yet. God, there's so many tonight. But yeah, honestly, if
hold on, did somebody announce the election results and they're headed to a riot?
Dude, I've heard so many. I got to check the flags on the back to see what's going on. So, yeah, but anyways, yeah, Papa Ricky, it's something we haven't had in a long time, and it's something that's consistent. I know he's had a few off weeks this last season, but besides that, he's someone that we can really count on to like bring it every night. So I want to hold on to him as much as I can. I think, John, you agree too with that as well too, right?
110%. Ricky Rubio is one of those point guards who's truly a point guard. And for those of you who aren't Phoenix Suns fans, this is a Phoenix Suns, or this is a point guard organization. Okay. We've had Jason Kidd and Steve Nash and Kevin Johnson. We have Dick Van Arsdale. You go back through the annals of history and Suns lore, and it's filled with effective point guards. And then we go this kind of drought from Steve Nash through a plethora of different point guards who either worked or didn't work. We had Isaiah Thomas with Goran Dragic with Eric Bledsoe. And we just haven't had consistent play at the point guard position. We get Ricky Rubio. Right. We get him on a contract that everybody bashes initially, but if you take a look at it, he's the 16th highest paid point guard in the NBA. 16th, $17 million a year. We have him for 2 more years at that price. Keep him.
Yeah.
There's no reason to get rid of this guy. He can facilitate an offense. His shot got better playing alongside Devin Booker, who's a premier shooter in the NBA, so he can teach him a thing or two. He increased his 3-point shooting percentage and amount of takes per year over year.
Great leader.
Great hair.
Beautiful
third in
hair.
the NBA in assists. Like, why would you want to trade away the third leading assister in the NBA?
Exactly.
When you have a young team that needs to be set up and Pat, one of my biggest complaints about prior to Ricky Rubio was we had a bunch of point guards who knew how to pass to people who were open versus pass to people to make them open. It's one thing to throw to a guy when he's wide open and then he can hit the shot. But if you throw the ball like 3 feet to the left and they catch it and all of a sudden they're, oh shit, I'm wide open. It's like a quarterback who only throws when the guy's wide open. I was watching that horrible Green Bay versus San Francisco game before I came in here. And, they got poor Nick Mullins out there because all of the 49ers are on COVID, and he can only throw to guys who are like wide the fuck open. If a guy's covered, like he doesn't know how to throw to him. So that's what Ricky Rubio brings. He's somebody that I definitely think that we need to hold on to as an organization. He's a leader. And to your point, Matthew, if we go down the drafting route of a young point guard, the perfect guy to sit behind for 2 seasons, learn from, come in, spell him off the bench, and the next thing you know, we may potentially have our point guard of the future.
Yeah, exactly, dude. There's one bad thing about Ricky Rubio. It's his Head and Shoulders commercial. So if they bring it to the United States and we're watching a Suns game and that comes on and your mom's in the room, you might have to leave. You might have to go to the bathroom. Yeah. But then she'll be like, "Oh, okay, he's going to the bathroom because of this," and then she's by herself.
Just go walk outside. Just go start rioting or something. Okay,
yeah,
just leave the room because it is a hot
throw
and
something
sexy
through
commercial.
the window. Yeah,
throw a brick through the window, through Matthew's window. Papa Ricky. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, now you know. Ricky Rubio, I hope he doesn't go anywhere. And truthfully, with such a shortened offseason, I don't foresee the Suns trying to wheel and deal and get rid of Ricky Rubio. Why would you destabilize an organization that literally just, you're trying to stabilize for Devin Booker?
Exactly.
All right, so another thing I want to talk about is you wrote a piece for the Bright Side of the Sun this past week about LaMelo Ball slipping in the draft. Can you kind of talk about what you observed to make you write that piece and why he's slipping?
Yeah, there's a lot coming out with this kid right now. I guess workouts, interviews aren't going as well with him. So you have that, and usually it's like a player does great in a workout, and it's obvious. It's like you can blow a lot of general managers, coaches, players away in your workout, but he's not even doing good there either. Just rumors say. So then, but we keep talking about the draft, all these guys that are coming up, and honestly, in the top 10, it's like a lot of these guys I can see going in front of LaMelo. And when you're taking LaMelo, maybe you're just taking the name, but then also I feel like there's a lot more pressure on a team too as well. If the team were to draft LaMelo, you're saying probably he might be we want him to be a top 2 player of the franchise, maybe going forward. That's what I was thinking. But a lot of these guys, I feel like you could plug in and play like right away in the draft, and they can be someone that's not overlooked, but just a player that can come in and be consistent. And there's no expectations really, but what they're really good at, like Tyrell Terry, shooting, Obi Toppin, what he does. Devin Vassell, honestly, a defensive specialist. So, I mean, these are players I feel like if they went in front of LaMelo, it's like, I wouldn't be too surprised, honestly. And it's like, I don't think he'll come to number 10. I really don't. But if it were possible, it's like, the question is, would the Suns really even try to pick this guy up? I would definitely. I love LaMelo. I think he would be great in the Suns system. He can learn behind Ricky, like we were just saying, but he can play along the side of them as too. So I was thinking there might be a chance once those rumors came out, and the KOC on the Ringer was talking about it too right after, and you just keep hearing it back and forth, but people just don't seem that interested on the media side.
Yeah, I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that he is a very nurtured basketball player. He's an AAU kid whose dad was the coach. He went to Australia and he was pretty much just doing whatever he wanted. He wasn't really a member of a team. When you say that if by some miracle he does drop to 10, and I could see it happening like a movie. I think I was watching that. Have you ever seen Draft Day with Kevin Costner? Did you say anything there?
Oh, sorry. There's a motorcycle I muted and then I forgot to unmute. I'm trying to multitask over here.
You can barely hear the motorcycles. It's no big deal.
All right. No, I was saying I have not seen that. I wanted to see it, but
okay. Well, essentially, it's the story of Kevin Costner as the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, and he's got the number 1 pick. Yeah. Or he's got the number 3 pick. He trades up to the number 1. He trades the whole future for it, whatever. And the whole premise is there's a guy who is supposed to go number 1. This guy who is, the quarterback and the Heisman Trophy winner for the Wisconsin Badgers. So that's bullshit. They're more of a run team, anyways. And Kevin Costner ends up passing on him in the draft. And the reason he passes on the guy is because no one came to his birthday party. None of his teammates. And what that showed was a character thing. And then once somebody passed on him, the next team didn't draft him because they didn't think he was going to be there. So they already kind of had their draft board set up. And the guy continued to fall in the draft. And I bring this up because this is something that could potentially happen to LaMelo Ball in this, because he's not interviewing well. He's not, really putting in these good workouts that these teams want to see. And when you're sitting there and you're looking at this draft overall, knowing that it's a complete crapshoot, knowing that you potentially can add somebody who could be a really good building block to a championship team, not the superstar. And that's the key, is you can get somebody who's a really good building block to your team in this draft that doesn't need to be the superstar, which LaMelo kind of, his whole life, he's been coaxed and he's been, kind of massaged. You're going to be a star. You're going to be the leader. You're going to be the number 1 guy. Yeah. You're 6'8". You're the playmaker. You can't play any fucking defense. So if by some miracle he does fall to the Suns, do you think he would even want to play behind Ricky Rubio? Do you think that he would create some sort of mess? Do you think that LeVar would, call for anytime Ricky Rubio has like a 6 turnover game, now you got the LeVar Ball kind of chirping in the background saying, hey, you need to play my son.
Yeah, see, that's the cool thing, though. Ricky Rubio, to a lot of people, I feel like isn't really a full-time point guard. So I think that would help him as well in that way. But yeah, LaMelo probably wouldn't like that. He would want to be a starter right away. That's why I'm assuming that some of these teams might take him because they don't have a star like we do with Devin Booker. So they want just his name, basically.
Well, what honestly, teams don't have a star, though? Like the Knicks, and that's it? Everyone else has stars.
No, Cleveland doesn't have a star.
True. But they got 2 point guards in the last 2 drafts. I mean,
yeah.
So it doesn't really make sense in Cleveland. I couldn't see him going. Minnesota, I don't see it. Golden State, I definitely don't see it. Minnesota or Golden State's going to go Wiseman. It just makes too much sense.
See, this is tough, dude. This draft is going to be crazy, but I don't see why. I don't like Wiseman really, but honestly, you think Minnesota's going to take him number 1? Because the Knicks are not the Knicks, but
no, Golden State.
Golden State. Charlotte Hornets, I've heard that they like him a lot. And they're thinking about hopefully moving up to number 1 to get him. I don't know if they would really have to for Wiseman, but that's another team too that doesn't really have a star. So I don't know. It's all in the name, but honestly, I think if he were to join Phoenix, it's not like he wouldn't get a lot of playing time. Of course he would. And eventually maybe he'd be the starting point guard of the future. I don't think he has a personality where it's like, I want to come in and be the star right away. I know he thinks he's really good, but if he were to get drafted and if he were to fall to 10, he's like, well, I have no choice. Like no one wanted me, but I'm going to prove them wrong. And I'm going to try even harder because all he did was play basketball his whole life. So that's why I was thinking maybe the interviews had something to do with like an anxiety thing, or maybe he has social issues or something like that just because he hasn't been around like kids his own age. He's been playing overseas with grown men, stuff like that.
But you think that. But you think he would actually be more confident because of those reasons. I feel like he could, and anxiety, everyone has different reasons for having that. And I can understand, potentially why he would do that, but there's no sign that he's the grinder, that he's the guy who wants to prove everybody wrong. Now, again, I could be wrong. What do I know? But I just don't see him doing that because he's never had to do that. He's never had to sit there and have adversity really put forth in front of him, unless it's like UCLA or something. Like he's gone overseas, he's played around men, and he's pretty much just been like, you know what, I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want. And he probably felt some resentment from those guys, and he didn't care because they knew his destined for the NBA. He just had to get that 1 year in the NBL out of the way, and then now he's off into the NBA. So I don't know if he'll have that work ethic and that ability to sit there and do what like Draymond Green does, and knows the name of every guy drafted in front of him. I don't even know if LaMelo's that smart to know everybody who was drafted in front of him,
Well, we don't really know him, so who knows?
Yeah, true.
Well, I'm just saying the anxiety thing, I'm just saying, like, I feel like he's the name on top of him, I feel like has something to do with it, where there's a lot of expectations, even though his brother played completely terrible in the bubble. I think
he's still pretty good season, though.
Yeah, but
overall,
the bubble experience, I might have hurt him a little bit, but I don't know. I think there might be something else going on with him mentally. So,
I like what Theo says in the chat. He says, if LaMelo signs with Clutch, will Sarver tell Jones to say no to Ball? I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, Sarver doesn't have a good relationship with Clutch. That's kind of the whole Earl Watson debacle that happened. And I think if LaMelo signs with Clutch, 1, LaMelo's not falling to the Suns. We can get that out of the way. And 2, the Suns aren't moving up to draft LaMelo.
Crazy.
It would be pretty crazy.
But it could happen.
It could happen. You never know this draft. I mean, it is 2020. Yeah. Now, if this draft happened in like January of 2021, I'd be like, oh, no, it's not going to happen. But who the fuck knows what's going to happen? Sports is
crazy, right? That's why sports is sports. You just never know what's going to happen, dude.
Yep. Raymond Gonzalez in chat, I don't see him fitting in with the top teams. And I agree with that. And that's what we were just discussing is those top teams, he doesn't fit. He's a puzzle piece that just doesn't fit.
Well, I'm just saying you can fit him into a lot of these teams, I think. Man.
Well, the Bulls are Detroit. That's what Bowman says. And I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, Bulls are Detroit.
I could see him going to either one of those organizations. They both are in desperate need. The Hawks, I could kind of see, I mean,
see that.
The Hawks are an interesting team in this draft. I really think so.
Even Golden State. Who knows? I don't know.
Who knows?
I mean, Timberwolves. I don't know. We're gonna have our next Thursday though. We're gonna have our draft pod, so we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll break that down next Thursday as we will be less than 1 week from the draft. Speaking of drafts, I wanted to talk about the under 23 draft. Okay, now this is something that Bleacher Report is infamously known for putting out weird ass shit. They love their countdowns and their lists. So they came out with a new list this morning, and I saw it, and I was just like, oh, let me take a look at that. And it was the under 23 fantasy draft. And they're like, okay, let's take a look at everybody who's under 23 in the NBA and rank them and draft them, essentially. So makes sense, right? But I think the thing that really caught me off guard is where DeAndre Ayton fell on this one. And let me bring it up, okay? So here's how it came out, okay? So number 1 overall was Luka Doncic. I think that, that's kind of a unanimous pick there. Jason Tatum at number 2 could be somewhat debatable. Zion Williamson, number 3. Ja Morant, number 4. Trae Young, number 5. Do you have any issues with the top 5 of their under 23 draft, Matthew?
Yes, I do. Just the Jason Tatum one. I'm not going to be afraid to admit it. I think he would be behind Zion and Ja automatically.
I completely agree.
I would totally, automatically, dude. We've seen a lot of Jason Tatum's play already, and it's so inconsistent. So I know what he is. Basically, he's already done with his 3rd season. So
yeah, and I think that product of environment is very important, and he's been on a team that has had a very solid core, very well-run organization, had talent around him in the Eastern Conference. Therefore, he's had the ability to make the playoffs. So instantly, because he was a playoff player, Jason Tatum is God. Because Kobe once made, did his show on him on how Jason Tatum uses the floor and does a jump shot. Jason Tatum's a God. Don't get me wrong. Jason Tatum's a talented individual. He's somebody who I would like on the team. It would have been really cool to have him drafted alongside Devin Booker. But I don't think that he outranks Zion or Ja Morant yet. I really don't. Those guys are going to mean more to the organization. They have more athletic ability, and I think they're just overall better players.
Yeah, Jason Tatum, you can see him as like the second guy on a team. He's a good player. I think he's a great player, but to build a whole team around, no, not at all. Ja Morant, he can be number 2 on this list. Dude,
he really can.
From what we saw last year, it's crazy.
Well, Miss Angelina in the chat, she says, Ja over Zion because of the season, and Ja had a better season. He's already injured, as she noted as well. The challenge for Zion moving forward is he's somebody who's going to have, issues with health, with keeping that big frame of his, working and in this high-paced NBA, having the ability to continually be effective. Ja Morant's going to be somebody who can just distribute the ball and make it happen. Zion's going to have a hard time staying healthy. So even that top 5, we're already having some issues, Matthew.
Yeah, well, I knew we would on that one with Jason Tatum, and I think a lot of people can agree, besides the Ringer, that Jason Tatum should be down.
Yes, well, here we go. Here goes number 6 through 10. Number 6, Jaren Jackson Jr. Number 7, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Number 8, De'Aaron Fox. Number 9, DeAndre Ayton. Number 10, Tyler Hero. Do you see why I put this list on the podcast, Matthew? Do you see why I'm a little bit upset?
And I miss the list, dude. Remember the 2 months during the pandemic, we just did lists every podcast? Yeah, it's been a long time, and I miss them, man. But this is a great find because automatically, who's the one guy you want to put in the top 10 here?
Ooh.
Like out of these 5.
De'Aaron Fox, probably.
Me too. Yeah. You kind of forget about him. He was good, but he's not. Would you choose Tyler Hero over De'Aaron Fox, though?
Yes.
Yeah, I would too. It would take longer to build, but I would choose Tyler Hero.
And I wouldn't put Jaren Jackson above DeAndre Ayton.
Isn't it? He's a unicorn. Do we still do the unicorn thing? How is he a unicorn already?
What? Yeah. How is
that's what he's done?
I don't understand how he is so high up. Why he's like an analytics dream, he's like analytic guy's wet dream, because he can shoot the 3 ball and he blocks shots. They're like, this guy's just fucking amazing, but it's like there's so much more than that. He is injury prone. He's somebody who hasn't really done a lot to effectively contribute to his team. Whereas DeAndre Ayton is, if the unicorn moniker exists, he's more of a unicorn than Triple J is, man.
Yeah.
And the other thing or the other reason I'm kind of frustrated with this list, both with Trae Young being so high, is and even SGA outranking DeAndre.
Yeah, SGA
and De'Aaron Fox. It's very guard centric. This list that says, okay, we're going to draft the top 25 players under 23 and put it out there, and we're going to rank them in order. it's the majority of them are guards. Jaren Jackson's like a power forward, but everybody else is like a guard. It's like, I get it. I know why guards are so valued in this league, but look at the NBA Finals. What won the NBA Finals? Killer power forward and center play. Yes, LeBron James, true unicorn, can play the point, and you have the versatility of Anthony Davis, who can play the 4 or the 5, but they're huge human beings. It's like, I get the whole guard thing, but not all these guys are guards, man. Like,
yeah. Well, there's another thing. Oh,
go for it.
No, there's another thing there too. Just the point guard, it's quicker to come out within the 3 years of what you are as a player. The centers, bigger guys, it takes longer. It does take a lot longer. So this list will switch around. The only thing with the Ayton is, of course, his aggression. That's what we want. But did you see that tattoo, though, as well? I feel like that is the aggression we need. Did you see his dominating tattoo?
His dominating tattoo? That looked like it hurt, man. That's more than a tattoo. That's like one of those things where they carve it into your back.
Yeah. It looks nasty. But I think it looks awesome, dude. But now he needs to be dominant after that. But but that's what I'm saying. Like, just the centers and the power forwards, they just take a little bit longer to come along, I think. Especially there's like not really a system in hand. Like, of course you would want to go with a point guard, but SGA too as well. He's good, but I can't see him being like a leader on a team. I don't think he's that good.
I would rather have DeAndre Ayton.
I know.
Majority of these guys, I would rather have DeAndre Ayton. It's still, and I'm okay with this. Whenever Bleacher Report puts out these stupid fucking lists, I love it because it almost disrespects the Suns. So. Always. And I don't mind being disrespected. I don't mind being the team that nobody takes note of, because you know what? One day we're going to come up and we're going to surprise them. I think DeAndre Ayton surprised a bunch of people, because after his 25-game suspension last year, a lot of teams and media in the national realm wrote him off. They're like, you know what? DeAndre Ayton's a bust. Let's just, get on the Luka train and ride that all the way. Every time Luka Doncic made like a 3-pointer, it was like a notification came up from Bleacher Report. They love that guy. But DeAndre Ayton, I wouldn't say quietly. Yeah. DeAndre came out and dominated and, really showcased growth. And he's going to continue to do so. And that's the other thing. You look at a lot of these guys, DeAndre Ayton has consistently showcased growth. Look at this. Jason Tatum, I get the growth. I can see where that comes from. I don't 100% agree with it there. Zion Williamson, no growth except on his belt line. Ja Morant, well-deserved. Trae Young, growth, but it's all coming from
on
the
his face
line. Oh. Yeah, growth on his face. He finally filled in that goatee a little bit, but he's not somebody who's efficient from 3. He just shoots a lot, and he nutmegged a few guys. So everybody's like, "Oh man, highlight nutmeg."
I'll always disagree with you. I think Trae Young's gonna be great, dude. I think because he can pass, but he's an amazing.
He can
player.
pass, but he shoots way too much. He's very inefficient.
Well, he has to right now. So he's not. I don't think he's very selfish. I think he's very unselfish, and I think he can get a lot of teammates involved going forward.
Yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. drives me crazy. The guy's unbelievably overrated, in my opinion.
Well, he's going to be good too. It's just like, but
if he stays healthy.
How do you put him in front of DeAndre now? If you're even comparing stats, DeAndre Ayton across the board has improved drastically, way more than Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah,
so it's winning, I guess. I don't know,
but they didn't even win.
I know. They failed to actually win. Yeah.
Jeez. So, anyways, that's another one of those Bleacher Report gems.
Love it.
Yeah, I guess you can't get overly upset about the fact that it's Bleacher Report, because it is Bleacher Report. There's a couple things I wanted to talk about in our thoughts segment. So let me see if I could properly drop the sound this week.
Thoughts. Brains?
Yes. Nailed it that time. Got it. So the first thing I want to talk about in our thoughts, and this is, for those of you who are new to the program, this is where we kind of veer off of our Suns topics and talk more about what's going on in the NBA at large. The NBA was supposed to vote, I thought today, on when the actual start date for the season was going to be. It's either going to be December 22nd or January 18th. And I know that the Players Union wants it obviously to be later for reasons we've talked about on previous podcasts. And did you see a vote come through, or are they still count balance on that shit too?
Man, I didn't see any vote. Nothing was actually finalized, right? But what are they voting about? Why would you not want to start the season earlier? That's what I don't understand. I mean, I understand you want more rest, but you forget like the 8 teams that didn't make the bubble. Like, they haven't played in forever. The teams that didn't even make the playoffs, they haven't played in forever. I mean, I guess LeBron needs a rest, but it's like LeBron just speaks for everybody. It's like, no, just bring back the NBA, save the NBA, make the money. Wouldn't you want to like save your job, like to make as much money as you can? Like, come back earlier. I don't think another month, January 18th, a respectable day to come back, of course. but you can also have games that day. Do something special on that day too as well. But if you can come back early and make more money, I just don't see the argument. And honestly, one more month will not, I don't think it'll keep you any healthier. You won't feel rested. In 2 months, when it's Christmas, these players are going to be begging to get out of their homes and go play basketball, honestly. So I think the vote's going to pass, though, right? Is it supposed to pass today? Because I did hear it was Thursday.
I heard that they're supposed to vote today, and Theo got it right in the chat. The NBA owners are having Pennsylvania count the votes on this damn thing. I think that, in theory, if this occurs, the NBA season starts on December 22nd. Training camp was started on December 1st. So you do have the teams in the playoffs that went deep in the playoffs to get some, to potentially want some rest. And you think about it, it's about 2 months rest. Okay. The NBA finals ended, about the first week of October. So they get 2 full months of rest before the season's actually started. But with training camp and everything, it would be a little bit less than that. But again, to your point, that's 30 teams, potentially are out there, and you have 28 of them are ready to play and haven't played in a long time. So
yeah,
I don't know why it hasn't passed. I think that it's kind of interesting to see that they want it pushed, and I get the reasons. We talked about this before. The holidays are coming up. A lot of these guys have spent a lot of time in the bubble. They want to spend that time with their families, and they've kind of deserved the right to do so. But again, the only people who you really hear who are very anti is LeBron, and
that's all you hear from is LeBron.
Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, the way they're going to have the schedule play out is they're going to have like no back-to-backs. I feel like they're going to have the games where it's going to be 3 games in a row against the same team, or 2 games. There's not going to be any fans to deal with, less travel. So you're going to be resting the whole time too. Plus, like we've heard millions of times, LeBron might just take the first month off, which he can't afford, give it to Anthony Davis, but he's hurt. He's probably still hurt from this playoffs because he was on the floor every game. But, it's tricky. I guess if you won the championship, maybe you should give the leisure of a month off or something like that. But
and take a game here, take a game there. Do what you do. But again, LeBron makes how much money? Think about like the Javon Carters. He well, that's what Javon makes. Think of the guys at the low end of the NBA pay spectrum. They need as much of a season to occur to ensure that their financial stability stays intact. There's also the talk of escrow and revenue sharing and all these things that, if there's no fans in the stands, that's really going to drastically affect their salaries too. So you don't want to have their salaries affected, by the lack of fans, and then a lack of hitting the 70 game kind of mark that they're supposed to do. So my expectation is it's going to happen on December 22nd. They haven't voted officially. I liked one thing that, our good friend at Zonas or at AZ Sports Zone, a fellow writer for Brightside, put out. He said November 18th NBA draft, November 20th or 22nd NBA free agency, November 25th college basketball opening day, December 1st NBA training camp, December 22nd NBA season begins. All the basketball things are going to start to happen, and they're going to happen fast. So definitely here on the Suns Jam Session podcast, we're going to have plenty to talk about. Again, we're talking about a week from today. We're going to have our draft show. We're actually going to have Flex from Jersey on. He knows a lot of prospects. He's somebody who's really in tune with the basketball world, and I just want to get his opinion on a lot of these upcoming prospects. But that draft show is a week away, and then 6 days after that's the NBA draft.
Yes.
So even though it feels like
fun.
it's been forever, which it has been, the draft was supposed to happen in like fucking June. It's going to finally happen, and then boom, boom, boom. Like free agency. We're going to have a lot to talk about in a short amount of time, and then these things by Ryen Russillo will just be whispers in the wind.
Yeah, he's a great guy though, right?
I'm a big Russillo fan.
Yeah, I like listening to him. I guess a lot of people don't like him, but
he
has a lot of good info and stuff. But it's just a casual comment. It's not his fault.
No, agreed.
Fault.
It's our fault. The other thing I want to talk about, this happened on October 21st, but we never mentioned it on the pod. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on Stan Van Gundy becoming the head coach of the Pelicans. Like we've glossed over that with all the big names kind of going everywhere. The Pelicans are a team that I enjoy watching. I really like their young core. And Stan Van Gundy is going to be the coach now. So what do you think about that, Matthew?
Not really any thoughts. Only thing I have really is I liked his commentating a lot in the bubble. I thought he was great. He should replace. I wish it was him replacing his brother Jeff.
Yes.
And then Jeff go coach, even though he's not a good coach. But I don't know. Stan Van Gundy, I don't even know. How could you put him on this team? I don't remember watching him as much as a coach, Stan. So I can't really get a clue besides his record and just like his finals appearance. Besides that, it's just like, I don't have any backup. And I think that do you think it's like a step down from what they had in Gentry? Do you think Gentry was a better coach? That I don't know. Who else could they have gotten to? Could they get the Matrix or another Suns
Another
ex player?
Yeah, they could have got Kevin Johnson to go out there, and he could have maybe run the organization. And then he could have brought Charles Barkley along as an assistant. Stan Van Gundy's, I think, is an interesting choice, kind of to your point, because there's not a lot of really quality coaches left out there. I do think Gentry was a better coach. I just think that he unfortunately was the scapegoat for a shitty bubble appearance.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really understand the reason behind Gentry's firing. I think he's a class act as a coach. He's a class act as an individual, and he's somebody that you want a young team to kind of get behind and learn how to navigate the NBA. And he was gone because they didn't, kind of perform to expectations in the bubble. So Stan Van Gundy, interested to see what's going to happen there. He did have that one finals appearance in 08-09 with Orlando and Dwight Howard and that team that lost 4-1 to Kobe and the Lakers. He last coached in the 2017-18 season with Detroit, and he was there for a few seasons. And I mean, Detroit's been a shit show for a while. So
yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that's a tough place to coach. So I don't know.
Maybe it'll work out. I mean, like I said, I love listening to him on the Dan Le Batard show. He's always got great stuff to say. I can see why he can be a leader. So that's what you need right away, is just someone that can lead these young guys.
Yeah. So just interesting. It's a team that I'm very in tune with because I like Brandon Ingram. That's going to be one of the biggest things that I'm looking forward to in this,
when he joins
brief
the Suns?
free agency. Yeah. If I don't know where he's going to go. I mean, most likely all the rumors are he's going to just sign that max deal with Orlando. But man, Brandon Ingram's a talent I really enjoy. Zion's interesting because you just want to see how that's going to turn out. I've always been a Lonzo Ball fan, so I think that that team over there in New Orleans understand Van Gundy. They've got the tools. They're young tools. They're a bunch of tools, but they've got all the tools, and I want to see if he has the ability to navigate that in an attempt to make it a successful thing. I do love this Bowman, who's our guest from Toronto, big Toronto fan. He's like, damn, the West is stacked. Yes, Bowman, the West is stacked. That's the problem the Phoenix Suns have been fucking facing for these past 4 years, is we finally have talent and we just can't break through because it's stacked.
That's our excuse.
Golden State wasn't even good. It wasn't around last year, So we don't have any mailbag questions. For those of you who are interested in ever reaching out to the show, you can hit us up, sunsjamsession@gmail.com, or you can visit sunsjamsession.com and leave questions there. We're happy to answer those on the show. I guess, ASU plays USC at 10 a.m. on Saturday, and then you got Notre Dame and Clemson at 5:30 on Saturday night. Who do you got, Matthew?
I got my favorites, USA, and then also Notre
USA.
Dame. Yeah, USA.
What? It's
ASU.
Yeah, I'm like ASU. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see Pac-12 football going on again, especially at 10 a.m. in the morning. And then of course Notre Dame, Clemson. I'm a big Notre Dame fan, so I'm
never show that to anybody.
Yeah, I know everybody hates me for that one too. You mentioned I mentioned I like the Dodgers and Notre Dame, and everybody. Well, there go all of our listeners and all our viewers. Oh well, next time.
Gone.
You got anything else, Matthew? Anything on Netflix? Any motorcycle gangs that you need to go outside and hang out with and? What's going down?
I think they left me a motorcycle, so I might hop on. I might be out late tonight, so if you see me in this hat, just stay out of the way. That's all I got to say. Stay out of the way with me and my chain. Whatever.
Matthew Listy, the one-man riot.
We are rioting tonight.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Well, let's see. I watered the grass today. I put in winter grass.
I love watching you water the grass.
I'm a pro at it. And then, of course, the painting that I'm working on behind us, I added Walter Davis and Paul Westphal. So I'm adding a couple more every now and then, trying to get time to do that because I love this background I'm painting back here. So, prayers up for Westy. What's that?
Who's your favorite NFL team? Steve Haller wants to know.
Oh, Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals.
There you go.
So I am local with the Arizona Cardinals. I love the AZ Cardinals. Big time Kyler Murray. It's fun, right? It's finally fun to be a Cardinals fan, and that's what I also feel about the Suns. We're on the precipice of it finally being fun to be a Suns fan again. It's been so long since it was actually fun to be a Suns fan. Matthew and I have talked about this before, but I'm 38 now, but when I was 28 I'd go to bars and watch playoff games. I don't think Matthew is of legal drinking age. The guy's never been to a bar to watch a Suns playoff game. That's fucking sad, man.
It is crazy, man.
We're so close to getting there. So,
Yeah.
and then Miss Angelina in the chat. I love this pod the most. Thanks, guys. We love you too. Thank you so much for hanging out with
No one
us.
asked me my favorite NFL team, so that's fine. I don't care.
Well,
I don't even want to talk about it, honestly.
It's the Dallas Cowboys. Poor Matthew. He's a Dallas Cowboys fan.
I'm a Cardinals fan this year, for sure. Kyler Murray. I got him tattooed right here.
Oh. Well, again, we'd like to thank everybody for hanging out with us. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Suns Jam. You can follow us on Instagram there as well. Make sure that if you're listening to the podcast on whatever platform, subscribe to the pod so you get all that quality Suns content. That includes not only the Suns Jam Session podcast, but also Fanning the Flames as well, part of the Bright Side of the Sun podcast network. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Please press the little bell. Make sure you click like below. It helps metrics, I'm told by somebody somewhere. But again, more than anything else, just everybody take care of yourselves. Please don't riot. Whatever happens. Just do unto others. Take care of each other. And
yep.
I'm gonna go get me another beer, Matthew.
All right, yeah. Go Cowboys. Bills are nice, and everyone go home and love your family.
Amen. Take care, everybody.